All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. This is Ralph from uh, Reverend Heidi Tarot. I got promoted today. My wife said, just tell everybody that you are the CEO of the company. And so, yeah, I am the newly appointed CEO of Reverend Heidi Tarot. And tonight I've got kind of a fun topic to talk about, and it's fun, but it's also very serious because sometimes people don't know how to ask right questions, and when tarot readers get asked a potentially problematic question, we can actually do more harm than good. And I've got three examples of this. But the topic tonight is when bad questions happen to good tarot readings. And one example of this is, people will get some bad news, or they'll become suspicious, and they will get all upset. They will get excited. They don't know what to do, so they will contact a tarot reader or a tarot consultant, and a lot of times they'll just emote. They won't know how to phrase their question properly. They won't know how to maybe talk civilly, but it may be something like, my life is in the dumpster and I don't know what to do. Why is the universe shitting on me all the time? And as tarot readers, we have to kind of handle situations like that as politely, as gracefully as we possibly can. But sometimes when we get clients who are all caught up in the heat of the moment, going through some very difficult situations, they can ask questions in the wrong way. And in this live stream tonight, want to talk about three potentially very problematic questions that tarot readers will maybe ask to deal with. And really, these are kind of the top three questions, at least in my experience, that if dealt with in a very bad way, can really do more harm than good to a client. First question centers around love and relationship. A lot of times, women, sometimes men, will come to a tarot reader or a tarot consultant, and they'll want to know, is my wife cheating on me? Is my husband cheating on me? Is my boyfriend or girlfriend, are they cheating on me? And, sometimes a tarot reader can give an answer that can really damage lives. And one example of this, one real world example of this, is a lady that I have known for a very, very long time. About, oh my God, what, 30 years ago? It's been a long time ago, but about 30 years ago, she got married, and she was married to a guy that had two children. There was an age difference between them. He was about 15 years older than she was. But when they got married, I mean, she loved him, he loved her, and everything was going pretty well. And this guy had two, shall we say, semi adult children. They were of legal age, but not the most mature people on the block. But anyway, one day the daughter went to a tarot reader. She had a laundry list of questions that she wanted the tarot reader to go over. And one of those questions was, I don't know why, but she just asked, is my stepmother cheating on my father? And the tarot reader went ahead and took that question without asking her to rephrase it or to maybe just say, look, I don't do third party readings. Let's focus on you. I don't want to focus on anybody else, which is my policy. I don't do third party readings. When a client comes to me, we are going to talk about you, not about your husband, not about anybody else. We're not going to use the tarot to do any psychic spying on other people. And but this tarot reader didn't handle the question that way. She just went ahead. She picked up on the energy of, as it turns out, the stepdaughter, not the stepmother, and she dealt out the cards. And she looked at the energy, she looked at the cards, and she said, "Well, yes, your stepmother is cheating on your father." And the stepdaughter became firmly convinced that that was the truth. And so what happened? She went away from that tarot reading. She went to her father and she convinced her father that her stepmother was cheating on him. And she did a good job because I don't know why, but he actually believed that this woman was cheating on him. And he confronted her with the information. No solid proof. Just said, I hear you're having an affair. And she rightfully denied it because she was not having an affair. But the tarot reader said she was having an affair. So in the mind of the stepdaughter and now in the mind of the husband, that's what they accepted as being the truth. And this lady denied it. She swore, "No, I'm not doing it." The husband then did a real bonehead thing. He went out and he started complaining to his friends that his younger wife was having an affair. And so what did his friends do? They did the macho thing, I guess, childish macho thing. They started hitting on the wife, and she became enraged because they were treating her like a streetwalker, to kind of put it mildly. And she put up with this kind of abuse for about a year because she loved him. And in the beginning, he loved her. But there was so much jealousy that was brought up by this bad question that was answered in a bad way by, shall we say, maybe an unethical tarot reader. There was just so much negative energy that came up that he wouldn't believe her. And so after about a year of trying to patch things back up, she finally made the decision to leave. She took the child. They had a newborn child. At that time, she was about, oh, not really newborn anymore, but about a year old. She left. She went through a messy divorce that took another year. And she finally got divorced and left him. But I mean, there was a perfectly happy marriage that was destroyed by a bad question that was asked of a tarot reader that didn't know how to answer it properly, didn't know how to deal with the situation properly. And what I think probably happened is that we know that the stepdaughter was fooling around. She was kind of a playgirl, and she was asking the question of the tarot reader. And when the tarot reader was dealing out the cards with only the stepdaughter present, she was picking up on the stepdaughter's energy, not on the stepmother's energy. And this is a real danger because sometimes we pick up on the energy of the person we're talking to, but when we're talking about a third person, a child, another husband, another acquaintance, they're not in the room. They're not there to defend themselves. They're not there to help clarify the matter. They're not there to contribute their energy to the reading. And a lot of times, readers that operate by intuition, you know, they will pick up on the energy of the querent, the person asking the question. And sometimes it can be hard to differentiate. Okay, am I tuning into you? Am I tuning into somebody else? And what this tarot reader did, she was tuning in on the energy of the stepdaughter, who was a playgirl in her own right, and was playing the field like a lot of young women might do. And she gave the reading for presumably the stepmother, but she was actually picking up on the energy of the stepdaughter. And that is a classic mistake that tarot readers can make. We can be trying to answer a question, and instead of picking up on the proper energy that spirit is trying to tell us, we're picking up on the fears of the client. We're picking up on the hopes and the fears of the client, the worries of the client. And sometimes we can make some real bonehead moves. So when asked the question, is somebody cheating on me? Is somebody cheating on my father? Is somebody cheating on Joe Blow from Idaho? Uh, the proper thing I think to do as tarot readers is just to politely say, look, I'm not here to help, somebody else, some third party. I'm here to help you. So let's rephrase the question in a way that really puts you at the center because you're the one who's here right now. And if you want to change the situation that you are in, you are the one that has to take action to make the change. You see, when people ask questions like, is somebody cheating on me? What kind of energy is that? Is that victim energy or is that empowering victor energy? I would say it's victim energy. The person is coming from a victim mentality and they're coming to the reader and saying, okay, I think that this person is cheating on me. What can we do to make him quit cheating? You know, and people won't change unless they want to change. So that's why I tell my clients, look, let's work on you. So if somebody comes to me and says, asks the question, is my husband cheating on me? Is my wife cheating on me? Is my girlfriend or boyfriend cheating on me? I will say, okay, let's rephrase this question. Let's focus on you. One way that we could handle this is by asking the question, how can I build a better relationship with my husband or my wife or my girlfriend or my boyfriend? Let's start approaching the question not from the perspective of being a victim, but being an empowered person that wants to do what they can to take what might be a very bad situation and turn it into a far better situation. So, yeah, whenever somebody comes to me and says, okay, is somebody cheating on me? I will try to turn it around and say, well, unless the husband or the person in question wants to come in and participate in the reading and is there to defend themselves, then I would say, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's do couples counseling tarot here. And yeah, but that's the only way I would answer a question like that. The best way that I know of to answer that question is say, let's focus on you and let's just ask the question, how can I build a better relationship with this person? How can I build a relationship of trust with this person? Because if they're asking questions like, is he cheating on me or is she cheating on me? Obviously, there is a trust issue there. And I think we need to address that trust issue and then give the person all the power, all the encouragement that they need to really look at the situation from the eyes not of being a victim, but from the viewpoint of being an empowered person that is playing an active role in their own life and in their own relationships. So that's bad question number one. Bad question number two, and this is a doozy, is blank, fill in the name there, is blank going to die? And this can be another dangerous question because of the placebo effect and the nocebo effect. Sometimes people will come to a tarot reader and they'll be worried. A loved one is sick, and maybe the doctors are saying it's a 50-50 chance. They may recover, they may not recover. Or, they come into the tarot reader and their loved one is terminal. The doctors have said, okay, this is going to end in death. Get your affairs in order. And naturally, they're heartbroken. They're worried. They're concerned. They want to know, is this person that I love, are they going to die? And if you don't have any experience with handling this question very well, you can deal out the tarot cards. And I mean, you can give an answer that may be true, may not be true, But this is kind of difficult because the few times that I have done a death reading, and this was not for other people. This was for well, it was for other people. It wasn't for me, but I was doing the reading for myself for my dad, and he passed on a few years ago. And I knew that he was getting close to the end, and so I did a reading, and the reading showed painful energy in the beginning, and then in the middle of the reading, happy cards began to emerge, and I thought that meant okay. He's bad right now, but he's going to recover and things are going to be great. Well, he got bad and then, he did rally a little bit and then he died. He died rather suddenly. And I went back to that reading and I realized what the cards were trying to tell me. It was like, okay, painful energy, being stuck in a terminally ill body, and then when the spirit is liberated from the body, it's freedom. It's a healing of a sort, and when the spirit leaves a sick body, it's like a liberation. So what the cards were trying to tell me is that yes, he was going to die, and it would be a happy death. It would be a happy departure into the world to come. But and so when he did die, I was taken aback a little bit, but then I realized the problem that had occurred. But now another thing to keep in mind is that there is something called the placebo effect. And I've known terminally ill people whom the doctors had given up on, who rallied and made a comeback and healed themselves, or were seemingly miraculously healed after they were surrounded by positive people who believed they could bring their positive energy into the life of this person and bring about a healing, a faith healing, more or less. And one classic example of this is a guy in our community was diagnosed with terminal cancer. The doctor said, okay, there's nothing we can do. Get your affairs in order. It's time for you to get ready to, make your peace with God and get ready to go to the next world. And this guy, he accepted that. He said, okay, he was ready to go. He was ready to die. His wife was not ready to let him go. And she spent hours and hours praying with this guy, showering him with love. At that point, he was not really a religious person, not exactly an atheist either, but, he, as far as religion went, he really didn't care. But his wife was very spiritual, and she worked with him, and on Christmas Eve, he felt a change in his body, and he began to feel better, and they had a beautiful Christmas holiday together. He went back to the doctor after New Year's Day, and the doctor couldn't believe it. The cancer had gone into full remission. What the doctor had said was terminal cancer suddenly went into remission and they couldn't explain it. And that is an example of what I would call a one example of placebo effect where the mind just begins to believe that maybe this sugar pill can heal me, or maybe my wife's love can heal me, or the power of God or the universe can heal me. And it's like, the gospel stories of Jesus healing lepers. And people come to him and they say, don't thank me, your faith has made you whole. And sometimes when people find something that they can put their faith in and believe in, be it a higher power or even a sugar pill, it can make big changes in their life. And this guy went into total remission of his cancer. And I sometimes wonder, what if she had gone to a tarot reader and the tarot reader had dealt out the cards and just said, yeah, the doctor's right. He's going to die. You better make sure his insurance is in order and all that. And say your goodbyes because, yeah, it's inevitable. But no, she didn't do that, thankfully. And yeah, this guy was healed temporarily, though. He had 3 years of life that he enjoyed. And then What happened after that? What I'm going to call what is called in the medical literature the nocebo effect. And the nocebo effect is the opposite of the placebo effect. That's when you begin to get such a negative mindset that your mind literally makes your body sick. And you begin to believe that, okay, I am doomed, I am fated to die. And so that's what the person does. And same man, he got started going to church after his miraculous healing. He spent about a good 3 years in this one church that had a lot of toxic energy in it. But they did a very good job of singing praise music, and they used him for his testimonial and all that. And he got dragged into the quagmire of nasty church politics. And he began to go back into a very negative way of thinking, a very negative way of dealing with the universe. And about 3 years after his miraculous healing, he became very sick again. His cancer came back with a vengeance and he died. There was no coming back from that second bout of cancer. And so I kind of use that as an example of the nocebo effect. Another example, and the most common example of the nocebo effect, is when a person is feeling in great health, okay? And they go into the doctor. It's just an annual checkup. No big deal. They're not feeling sick. And I've known people that this has happened to, people from my church. And, they go into the doctor and the doctor runs some tests and then they come back. The doctor comes back all serious. And they say, okay, I've got some bad news. Lab tests came back. You've got cancer. It's very aggressive. It's very serious. You probably have only 6 months left to live. And this happened to a guy in our church, actually, to a few different people that I've known through church work. And people tend to believe it. It's like the doctor is telling me I'm sick and I'm going to die. And the person comes back from the doctor before they're all happy, feeling great, full of positive energy. And then they come back. It's like their life has been destroyed and they're feeling down, they're feeling terrible. And it's almost like they die on cue, as if they're following their doctor's orders. And, I've done funerals for folks like this, where they went into the doctor feeling without a care in the world, feeling great for an annual checkup. They get that bad news. 6 months later, we're doing their funeral. Now, is that because the cancer was actually as bad as the doctor said? Possibly, quite possibly so. But was it also because maybe the doctor didn't handle things in the best possible way? And they just said, when a doctor tells you something, you tend to take that quite seriously. And when the doctor tells you you're going to die, then it's like, okay, I'm not going to get a second opinion. I trust this guy. I'm going to follow his orders. And it's like subconsciously, sometimes people follow the doctor's orders and they die almost on cue. And I've heard of people that not to rag on doctors alone. I've heard of people that will go in for tarot readings and they'll be going into a very life or death situation and they'll be worried and they'll want to know, am I going to make it out of this alive? And the tarot reader gives a negative answer. And again, sometimes I've heard stories of people that they die as if right on cue, almost as if they're wanting to prove that the tarot reader was right, that the cards were right. And this is something that we need to take into consideration when we're handling situations like this, serious life and death issues. Somebody comes to us and they ask, is so and so going to die? I would say you don't want to answer that with a yes. You don't really want to answer that with a no, because you want to leave room for the universe to work. You want to leave room for the people involved to create their own final outcome with a very positive mental attitude, with a lot of faith, terminally ill patients have been known to make miraculous recoveries and healings have occurred. And with negative mindsets, with a really negative attitude, ordinarily healthy people can suddenly become sick and think themselves to death. So when somebody comes to me with that question, is somebody going to die? I would suggest, okay, again, let's rephrase the question. Let's not focus on this other person, but let's focus on you and your relationship with this other person. So instead of asking, okay, is so and so going to die? I would suggest let's ask the question, how can I develop a better relationship with this person in whatever time we may have left remaining? And just not say, okay, yes, he's going to die. No, he's not going to die, because, God's the final judge of that. The universe is going to be the final judge of that. That's not in our ability to really, we can help to influence, but we have no power over that. But we do have power to develop a better relationship with our loved ones before they pass on. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make in dealing with the terminally ill. Sometimes we can be so wrapped up in our own feelings of sadness, own feelings of remorse, that we end up being distant to our loved ones when they are in their hour of need. And sometimes what we need to do is just get a gentle reminder to get out of ourselves, get out of our own negative emotions, and just do our best to be there out of love for the people who are important to us, even if we think we may only have a few hours left remaining, and focus on the gift of that person rather than on the pain of potentially losing that person. Focus on the positive rather than the negative. And yeah, so that's what I would say. Let's rephrase the question, focus on what can we do to build a better relationship with this person, a more loving relationship with this person, a more helpful relationship for them in whatever time you have left remaining, and empower the client, empower that person to take this life and death life situation and turn it into an empowering, positive one. And then the final question, and this is a little not quite as serious, unless you're really dirt broke and you're needing a pay raise. But one other common question about finance and money. When will I get a pay raise at work? And that can be a bad question because the answer may be never. You may be working for a really skinflint boss, and you may not be in line for a pay raise. I have worked for companies where, supposedly they have to give you a little pay raise every year. And once a year they'll give you a tiny little pay raise whether you need it or not. And one company I worked with, actually, normally they would give like a 10-cent an hour pay raise after 1 year employment. Sometimes, if your work history with them was not that satisfactory, it would only be 5 cents. And in a worst case scenario, they could say, nope, you're not getting a pay raise this year. Come back next year and we'll talk about it again. So, yeah, if you're asking the question, when will I get a raise at work? The answer might be no. And again, you want to focus on the positive. You want to focus on what the client can do to improve their finances themselves, not come at it with a victim mindset. Because I've known people that felt like, my my life would be so much better if my boss would just give me a 25-cent an hour pay raise. But the skinflint won't do it, and so I am fated to live a life of misery and poverty. And I know folks that have thought like that, and it's just not a positive way to be. But when a person comes to me with that kind of a question, I would suggest again, okay, let's rephrase the question in a way that focuses on you and what you can do, what you have within your power to do to change the outcome. And so instead of asking, when will I get a pay raise at work, which maybe could be next week, could be next month, could be never, instead, let's focus on what can I do to build a better financial future for me. And, I was stuck in a dead end job for quite a few years. I stayed with that dead end job because I had my application in for management. And I thought if I just gave it another year, I could become a manager and be earning a six-figure income. And I gave that company a good 3 years of my life before I was told by a district manager, no, you're too old. You're too old to get into management. We're looking for young guys with MBAs, not old guys with experience. True story. Supposedly age discrimination is illegal. It happens. So, anyway, what I did while I was waiting for my ship to come in, I started exploring home businesses that I could create from my own home that would supplement my income while I was waiting on this other company to just give me this great promotion, which never happened because age discrimination. But what happened is that I got this home enterprise, this home business enterprise going to where I was earning a fairly good part-time income to supplement what I was earning at my regular full-time job. And then when I got to the point where that district manager laughed in my face and said, "You ain't never going to get that promotion because you're too old. We're looking for young guys with MBAs." Well, then I said, okay, I'm just going to take my home based business that I already have developed, that is already paying me a decent part time income, and I'm going to see how I can take it full time and give myself a pay raise. And that's what I did. And quit my job, quit that dead end job, put a lot of work the next few months into taking that part-time home-based business that I already had and took it full-time. And I mean, I've been working from home ever since. That was back in 2011. So I know how difficult it can be working for, skinflint employers, maybe not the most ethical people themselves, and waiting on them to give you a pay raise, give you a promotion. Sometimes those pay raises just won't happen. Sometimes those promotions just won't happen. Sometimes you have to figure out a way to give a promotion to yourself, become your own boss. And so with that experience, I now say, okay, somebody comes to me with that question, when is my skinflint boss going to give me a pay raise? Say, okay, let's look at this from a different angle. Let's focus on you. What can you do to build a better financial future for yourself? What kind of talents do you have? Do you have any hobbies, any interests, any other, possibilities that could work into a lucrative financial opportunity for you and your family? And don't just focus on your current boss. Your current boss may love your work, might be willing to work with you to give you a pay raise to keep you, but don't hang all of your hopes on that one contingency. Instead, let's see what other things there are available for you to do to help yourself. And I think, if we're kind of creative, if we're good with working with our clients, when they come to us with negative questions that paint them in the light of being a victim rather than an empowered participant in their own lives, we can help them out tremendously by suggesting that we take that bad question and we reformulate it, not focusing on the other person, but focusing on you. And when people come to me for a consultation, that's what I like to do. Let's focus on you. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Let's deal the cards. Let's see what the tarot cards have to say. Let's see what how we can interpret the signs here. And what can we do to empower you in your own life rather than just living life like you're fated to either suffer or be happy. And usually, when people come to a reader, it's because they feel like they're fated to suffer and they're wanting to know, how can I bring some happiness into my life? And I think the best thing we can do for our clients when they come with that negative mindset, help to empower them to bring happiness into their own life. Because a lot of people that believe in tarot and astrology and divination of any kind, which I believe in too, but they tend to believe in fate, and they put fate in as becomes a major factor. I don't. I believe in free will. I believe that God, at least the God of my understanding, has given me and everybody else free will, and we can choose to exercise that free will, or we can choose to give it away, surrender it, and just drift along and just let things happen to us. And when I see people who may be drifting along, letting the world, drift with them and push them uh, almost to the breaking point, I will encourage them, okay, let's find your free will. Let's recover that free will that you have unconsciously surrendered to your boss or to other people or to, you know, institutions and powers that be and powers that want to be. Let's see how we can recapture your inner power that the universe gave you at birth and use that to better yourself with. And I think that's a far better way to handle these questions. But that is one of the awesome responsibilities as that tarot readers have, that tarot consultants have, is that oftentimes people will come to us, at the worst point in their own lives, and they'll be looking for help. And maybe they'll feel very disempowered. And I would say the best thing that we can do for people like that is to do what we can to wake them up, to see the fact that they are beautiful, wonderful people born with divine power within them, and guide them, coach them into how to use that power to better themselves and to better the world around them. And so that's how I tend to deal with tarot. But yeah, believe it or not, bad questions can happen to good tarot readings. And when they do, we just have to be there for our clients. And when we see them maybe asking these bad questions, encourage them to ask better questions. And when you start asking better questions, sometimes you get better answers. And my goal is to get people more empowered in their own lives. That's what I believe. Tarot of empowerment, not a tarot of fate. And we are all children of the divine source, our divine father, divine mother, however you like to see the divine source, has given us each an awesome birthright. And most people just don't even see it. They don't know it's there. We have to look deep within, discover that divine birthright, and put it to use. Not in a narcissistic kind of a way, but in a kind, loving, joyful kind of a way. And when we can do that for our clients, we do them a great service. Okay, so hey, this is went a little longer on that than what I thought, but yeah, those are my top 3 bad questions that we sometimes often get in tarot readings. And that's how I would suggest we handle them. Because yeah, tarot readers, if you handle a question badly, You can take a bad situation and make it worse. We never want to do that. We want to take people who are in bad situations and help them to make their lives better. That's the goal. And that's what we strive to do here. So, thanks a lot. If you'd like to check us out online, because my wife and I, we do tarot readings, obviously, tarot consultations. My wife does it in Spanish. She's from Central America, and Spanish is her language. I do the tarot readings in English. If you like to book a session, we sell the tarot consultations in open-ended sessions. They can last anywhere from 20 minutes up to an hour. But just check us out on our website, reverendheiditarot.net. And yeah, if you'd like to see about booking a reading with us, we'd love to talk with you about it. Go ahead, check it out, see if it works for you. So until next time, thanks a lot for dropping by. So we've had at least one person stick with us during the entire live stream. Thanks a lot, appreciate it. Feel free to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you feel like, and put your comments too down below, and I'll see if I can answer them either in the comments section, or who knows, we may do another video or another live stream around that question. So again, thanks a lot. Catch you in future updates, my friends, and catch you later. Bye bye.